Okay, so I was gonna try to do my reading outside, but between the construction and then the roofs being done next door, not gonna work. But a lot of hail here this summer, so a lot of roofs need redoing. Ours tomorrow, so I don't know what that's gonna sound like. Anyway, here we go. So from our Abraham flip book, a belief is only a thought. A belief is only a thought that you keep thinking. So as you keep thinking this thought, you keep vibrationally attracting relative to that thought. So you confirm your own beliefs again and again and again and again. That's why someone who believes in cancer can confirm that belief, or someone who believes in robbery can confirm that belief. So everything is a sort of confirmation of belief. A belief is only a thought that you keep thinking. This is where our disconnect is. If we knew that what we thought about caused us to vibrate a certain way, which caused those experiences to come into our life, we would have, I think, a lot more accountability for what we're thinking. And we don't realize the root word of actually believe or belief is to love, to care, to desire, to wish. So the more what you love, you think about. And we don't think about why in the world would I love robbery or would I love cancer. But whatever's occupying your mind is what you're focused on, which inadvertently is what you are loving or worshiping, because it's always on your mind. If you don't love it, don't think about it. If you don't want it or desire it, don't think about it. But we don't have that connection. And so right now, especially, we're seeing so much about robbery in the media. My parents are totally flipped out that, everyone's going to get robbed, and focusing on that. And we don't realize by putting that energy out, it's happening more. That's why we're seeing the increase in robbery, and same with cancer, because we're thinking about it and obsessing about it and worrying about it. We're seeing it more and more and more. And that's because of this, because what we continue to think becomes a belief, and the law of attraction is going to confirm our beliefs to us. So it's very big for me to continue to realize how important it is to sort of discipline my mind and get control of what I'm thinking about. And I'm now going to read from Untethered Soul, the chapter 9, Removing the Thorn. I remember I read this a while back and it seemed so impactful to me, and I haven't read it in a long time, so just felt inspired to pull this out, and I want to see what I experience. The spiritual journey is one of constant transformation. In order to grow, you must give up the struggle to remain the same and learn to embrace change at all times. The struggle to remain the same. We don't think about remaining the same as a struggle. That's interesting. One of the most important areas requiring change is how we solve our personal problems. We normally attempt to solve our inner disturbances by protecting ourselves. Real transformation begins when you embrace your problems as agents for growth. In order to understand how this process works, let's examine the following situation. Imagine that you have a thorn in your arm that directly touches a nerve. When the thorn is touched, it's very painful. Because it hurts so much, the thorn is a serious problem. It's difficult to sleep because you roll over on it. It's hard to get close to people because they might touch it. It makes your daily life very difficult. You can't even go for a walk in the woods because you might brush the thorn against the branches. This thorn is a constant source of disturbance, and to solve the problem, you have only two choices. The first choice is to look at your situation and decide that since it's so disturbing when things touch the thorn, you need to make sure nothing touches it. The second choice is to decide that since it's so disturbing when things touch the thorn, you need to take it out. Believe it or not, the effects of the choice you make will determine the course of the rest of your life. This is one of the core level structural decisions that lay the foundation for your future. Let's begin with the first choice and explore how it will affect your life. If you decide you have to keep things from touching the thorn, then that becomes the work of a lifetime. If you want to go for a walk in the woods, you'll have to thin out the branches to make sure you don't brush against them. Since you often roll over and touch the thorn when you sleep, you'll have to find a solution for that as well. Perhaps you could design an apparatus that acts as a protective device. If you really put a lot of energy into it and your solution seemed to work, you would think that you solved your problem. You'd say, I can sleep now, and guess what? I got to go on TV to give a testimonial. Anybody who has the thorn problem can get my protective device, and I even get paid royalties. It's brilliant. So now you've got a life built around this thorn, and you're proud of it. You keep the woods thinned out, and you wear the apparatus to bed at night. But now you have a new problem. You fell in love. This is a problem because in your situation, it's hard to even hug. Nobody can touch you because they might touch the thorn. So you design another kind of a device that allows closeness among people without actually touching. Eventually, you decide you want total mobility without having to worry about the thorn anymore. So you make a full-time device that doesn't have to be unstrapped at night or changed over for hugging and other daily activities, but it's heavy. So you put wheels on it, control it with hydraulics, and install collision sensors. It's actually quite an impressive device. Of course, you had to change the doors in the house so that the protective apparatus could get through, but at least now you can live your life. You can go to work, go to sleep, and get close to people. So you announce to everyone, I've solved my problem. I'm a free being. I can go anywhere I want. I can do anything I want. This thorn used to run my life. Now it doesn't run anything. The truth is the thorn completely runs your entire life. It affects all your decisions, including where you go, whom you're comfortable with, and who you're comfortable with. It determines where you're allowed to work, what house you can live in, and what kind of bed you can sleep in at night. When it's all said and done, that thorn is running every aspect of your life. And you built a whole device to protect yourself from it. So it turns out that the life of protecting yourself from your problem becomes a perfect reflection of the problem itself. You didn't solve anything. If you don't solve the root cause of the problem, I love root cause analysis, you didn't solve anything. If you don't resolve the root cause of the problem, but instead attempt to protect yourself from the problem, it ends up running your entire life. You end up so psychologically fixated on the problem that you can't see the forest for the trees. You actually feel that because you've minimized the pain of the problem, you've solved the problem, but it's not solved. All you did was devote your life to avoiding it. It's now the center of your universe. It's all there is. In order to apply the analogy of the thorn to your whole life, we will use loneliness as an example. Let's say you have a very deep sense of inner loneliness. It's so deep that you have trouble sleeping at night, and during the day it makes you very sensitive. You're susceptible to feeling sharp pangs in your heart that cause quite a disturbance. You have trouble staying focused on your job, and you have trouble with everyday interactions. What's more, when you're very lonely, it's often painfully difficult to get close to people. You see, loneliness is just like the thorn. It causes pain and disturbance in all aspects of your life. But in the case of the human heart, we have more than one thorn. We have sensitivities about loneliness, about rejection, about our physical appearance, and about our mental prowess. We're walking around with lots of thorns touching right against the most sensitive part of our hearts, and at any moment, something can touch them and cause pain inside. You have the same two choices with these inner thorns as you did with the thorn in your arm. Surely it was obvious that you'd have been much better off taking out that thorn. There's no reason to spend your life protecting the thorn from getting touched when you can just remove it. Once the thorn is removed, you're truly free of it. The same is true with your inner thorns. They can be removed. But if you choose to keep them without being disturbed by them, you must modify your life to avoid the situations that would stir them up. If you're lonely, you must avoid going to places where couples tend to be. If you're afraid of rejection, you must avoid getting too close to people. If you do this, however, it's for the same reason that you thinned out the woods. You're attempting to adjust your life to make allowance for your thorns. In the earlier example, the thorns were outside. Now they're inside. When you're lonely, you find yourself pondering what to do about your loneliness. What is it that you can say or do in order to not feel lonely? Notice that you aren't asking how to get rid of the problem. You're asking how to protect yourself from feeling it. I guess because we don't think we can get rid of these things, and we don't realize when we continue to think about them. Now I'm seeing the connection to the reading for today. We can continue to think about it and focus on it. It makes it worse and you get more confirmation of it. Removing it means to stop thinking about it. But let's see what he has to say. So you're asking how to protect yourself from feeling it. You do this either by avoiding situations or by using people, places, and things as protective shields. You're going to end up just like the person with the thorn. The loneliness will run your entire life. You'll marry the person who makes you feel less lonely, and you'll think that's natural and normal. But it's exactly the same as the person who is avoiding the pain of the thorn instead of simply taking it out. You've not removed the root of loneliness. You've only protected yourself. You've only attempted to protect yourself from feeling it. Should someone die or leave you, the loneliness would again disturb you. The problem will be back the moment the external situation fails to protect you from what's inside. And so then he says it leads to fix everything that makes you feel worry. You have to change how you dress and how you talk. You have to worry about how people think of you because that could affect your feelings of loneliness or need for love. If someone is attracted to you and this eases your feelings of loneliness, you wish you could say, how do I need to act in order to please you? I can be any way you want. I just don't want to feel these periods of loneliness anymore. You now have this burden of worrying about the relationship. It creates an experience of underlying tension and discomfort. It can even affect your sleep at night. The truth is, however, the discomfort you're experiencing isn't actually the feeling of loneliness. It's the never-ending thoughts of, did I say the right thing? Does she really like me? Or am I just kidding myself? The root problem is now buried under all these shallower issues that are all about avoiding the deeper ones. It gets very complicated. I love that. The Course in Miracles always says that we're complicating, we're changing problems into other problems, and we can't address the root one. People end up using their relationships to hide their thorns. If you care for each other, you're expected to adjust your behavior to avoid bumping into each other's soft spots. But do not doubt your ability to remove the root cause of the disturbance inside of you, to get to a solution. It really can go away. You can look deep within yourself to the core of your being and decide that you don't want the weakest part of you running your life. I don't. You want to be free of this. You want to talk to people because you find them interesting, not because you're lonely. You want to have relationships with people because you genuinely like them, not because you need for them to like you. You want to love because you truly love, not because you need to avoid your inner problems. All right, so how do you free yourself? In the deepest sense, you free yourself by finding yourself. You are not the pain you feel, nor are you the part of you, nor are you the part that periodically stresses out. None of these disturbances have anything to do with you. You are the one who notices these things. Because your consciousness is separate and aware of these things, you can free yourself. To free yourself of your inner thorns, you simply stop playing with them. Here we go. You stop thinking about them and stop focusing on them. That's what he's getting at. The more you touch them, the more you irritate them. Because you're always doing something to avoid feeling them, they're not given the chance to naturally work themselves out. So if it comes up, you let it come up and you act anyway. That's where unconditional living comes in. I feel great anyway. If it comes up, oh, look at that. That was weird. And you just keep going. You don't focus on the negative. Got it. If you want, you can simply permit the disturbances to come up and you can let them go. Since your inner thorns are simply blocked energies from the past, they can be released. The problem is you either completely avoid situations that would cause them to release, or you push them back down in the name of protecting yourself. Okay. See the wrap up. If you sit within the self, you will experience the strength of your inner being even when your heart feels weak. Can't believe this book uses the word inner being. I did not know that. I read it a long time ago. Wow. Actually, my friend sent this to me when I was in jail, actually. It's the first time I read this. Just being real. If you sit within the self, you'll experience the strength of your inner being even when your heart feels weak. This is the essence of the path. This is the essence of a spiritual life. Once you learn that it's okay to feel inner disturbances and that they can no longer disturb your seat of consciousness, you will be free. You will begin to be sustained by the inner energy flow that comes from behind you. When you've tasted the ecstasy of the inner flow, you can walk in this world and the world will never touch you. That's how you become a free being. You transcend. I spent a lot of time meditating at that time and did not know the Abraham work as much. So, how do we transcend? It's going to be the emotional guidance scale. That's what it is. Fascinating, fascinating, fascinating. Back to this, right? right? I hate that I say that. Anyway, I'm gonna stop focusing on that. That's what I say. So it is. We transcend. We get up here and we get there again through meditation. That's really what he's talking about, sitting in the self. Stop thinking those thoughts, even for a few minutes a day, and have the benefits. Time for the Course in Miracles lesson of the day. Lesson 59. Is this the last review? No, there's one more review after this. All right, the following ideas are for review today. God goes with me wherever I go. How can I be alone when God always goes with me? How can I be doubtful and unsure of myself when perfect certainty abides in him? How can I be disturbed by anything when he rests in me in absolute peace? How can I suffer when love and joy surround me through him, or my inner being? Let me not cherish illusions about myself. I am perfect because God goes with me wherever I go. Interesting, we're just reading about loneliness. How can I be alone when God goes with me? All right, that was lesson 41 for review. Lesson 42 for review. God is my strength. Vision is his gift. Let me not look to my own eyes to see today. Let me be willing to exchange my pitiful illusion of seeing for the vision that is given by God. Christ's vision is his gift, and he has given it to me. Let me call upon this gift today, so that this day may help me to understand eternity. Lesson 43, God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. God is my source. Interesting, that's the language of Abraham's source. Abraham stays away from the word God for obvious reasons. I assume it can be pretty charged up for folks. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. So it's saying the same thing, like that's where I come from, it's in me. I can see what God wants me to see. I cannot see anything else. Beyond his will lie only illusions. So that would be anything that I think and create from lower on the vibrational guidance or the emotional guidance scale, the mood scale. It is these I choose when I try to see through the body's eyes. I cannot see beyond. Okay, so I want to see what God wants me to see. I cannot see anything else. Beyond his will lie only illusions. It is these I choose when I think I can see apart from him. It is these I choose when I try to see through my body's eyes. Yet the vision of Christ has been given me to replace them. It is through this vision that I choose to see. Now, Vola says, or other things I've been reading, Christ's vision is seeing through your I am, your imagination, and in deep meditation, sort of seeing this alternate reality. Interesting. It's very interesting how all these things are piecing together. God is the light in which I see. I cannot see in darkness. God is the only light. Therefore, if I am to see, it must be through him. I've tried to define what seeing is, and I have been wrong. Now, it is given me to understand that God is the light in which I see. Let me welcome vision and the happy world it will show me. God is the mind with which I think. I have no thoughts I do not share with God. I have no thoughts apart from him because I have no mind apart from his. As part of his mind, my thoughts are his and his thoughts are mine. That would be source when you're thinking thoughts with source. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. So we've got God as the light in which I see, and God is the mind in which I think. So obviously thoughts I think with my inner being are going to be that much more powerful up here on the emotional guidance scale, again, up at the top. Course in Miracles would say anything you're thinking that's not with God or source really doesn't exist at all. It's an illusion. So that's pretty exciting. I love the idea that the things that are of this world that are sad or get us down aren't real. And I really want to think thoughts with God. Cool. I'm going to go get busy doing that today.